Let's get started. Thank you everyone for coming to the live streams. Okay, so there are a couple of announcements today. The most important announcement for today is, come on, the Ancient Weapon Design Challenge due date has been set for February 16th, Tuesday, February 16th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Please make sure all submissions are posted by 5 p.m. If you post them at 4:45, there's no chance that it might be seen and added to the top of the list. Please make sure you're posting them a day before. In fact, I should probably make the due date the 15th, but the only reason I say the 16th is because that's the critique hour day for the challenge. So you guys have half a month, a little over. Well, yeah, 28 days. But that's enough time, I think, to start painting and finish it by then. As long as you posted your inspirational work, your references, your mood boards, your thumbnails, etc. There are rewards for this challenge. The first reward, there's two winners. The winner from the poll, the community poll, which I will post after the 16th, and the winner for the judges, which is me and anybody else I bring in to judge them. And that will be a winner based off innovation, work, dedication, inventiveness, creativity, ingenuity, and imagination. As for who wins the poll, community poll, it's up for grabs. Whatever the community feels more drawn to, and that's a different winner. Last time was the same deal. Of the 5 that won, I picked one that I felt like was the best one. But this time I'm going to pick one completely separate. It won't be just on who drew it the best. It's a combination of all of this. So which idea is the best? You know, who did the best idea? It's a girl with a bow, but who took the best, avenue for that, or the best rendition of it? Plus, there's a narrative that I wrote myself. It's a tiny little story attached to this challenge. If you haven't read it, please download this little Dropbox link. It's not a virus. Download this Dropbox link of the resource pack I built for the community a while ago. I hope it's not outdated. I did read through it, but I'm not sure if I missed anything. Read through that and let me know what you guys think of the narrative as well, if you guys liked it. And then as for other, there's also Patreon if you guys want to join on Patreon. Even if you just join as a $1 patron, it goes a long way. But if you are looking for educational material, different from private tutoring, but you still want to be held accountable for your homework, you can join as an apprentice. Currently, we are doing an Aztec themed homework assignment as well, but there are different right now, world building is what the theme is, the unit is, and each theme is going to be from a different civilization and history, which is great for one big thing, and that's to expose you to more aesthetic themes. So stuff that you would never have researched unless someone hired you to research for it, stuff on your own you would never have delved into. That's what the apprenticeship is for. So the next ancient civilization we'll be doing is a toss-up between ancient Rome and ancient Egypt. I might try something a little bit more original, but there's always a magical element involved as well. So if you guys are interested in working on that, feel free to join us on Patreon as apprentices. This is all held through a private Discord. And that's it. Let's talk about these pieces. So today I wanted to talk about how to make this piece better based off what referencing can offer you, what is available to you through referencing. So the difference in the quality and the change in quality when you actually use an active kind of reference. This piece could do a lot better had you just tried something, a combination of different thumbnails. I think this is the same artist we critiqued last time with their alien environment, their alien landscape. And what I wanted to show you is that there are a multitude of different, is that the right word? Sorry, my brain is really empty today. Gestures that you could be using. I have a feeling you're trying some kind of silhouette, but also translucency in the character, but her hair is also white. So you're really jumping all over the place. And it's another sign of the same students struggle with silhouettes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pose really quickly on PortraitStudio. A very, very simple pose for her. Something different, something a little bit more cataclysmic, dynamic, something similar to how you would have found this female creature or person or whatever she is, this being on this alien planet as it's about to collapse, or some kind of elemental where she resides. You know, this planet is her home, but it's also a reflection of the material that makes her. So you see a lot of the similar textures on the earth or on the land around her used on her. That's pretty cool. Let's look at it as a league splash. You're trying to show off the character and the environment at the same time, but you're also trying to pull off this colossal, almost diva-esque pinup, but not pinup like per se, but pinup in the sense that it's exhibitionist. So you really want to show off more of the character, more gesture, more items, more texture variety, and really, really stage-worthy lighting. So light from behind the character, combination of, like we did a couple sessions ago, the silhouette plus the spotlight. So you need to do a lot more of that to convince me that this being is as amazing and as perfect as she is here. And it starts off with the largest decisions, and one of the biggest decisions you can make is the gesture. So let's jump into that now. So what I want to do is kind of open this here, and I'm just posing this with PortraitStudio. If you don't know what PortraitStudio is, you just found my channel, you don't know what it is. It's a referencing software that helps you generate references. You have all kinds of stuff at your disposal, including opposable female and male mannequins. So you never really need to search endlessly for the perfect pose. So right now I'm going to be using that, and I'm just trying to find something very heroic, a very heroic pose. You also have control over the lighting, control over the camera, and I'll show you guys that in a second. And I think that's a really cool pose to have, plus the lighting. Sorry, so I press 1 to move the lighting. You press on the joints, you press W. My QWE is is worn out because of league. WER to pose, and different types of motions for the joints. So this is just a simple angle change, pivoting off whatever joint you pick, and it is E. So something as simple as that is enough if that's a reflection of her personality in the theme, in the story. And I'm just gonna rotate, and that just seems pretty heroic. It's my favorite type of scene. And remember that the pose is only as good, it's gonna be as good as your knowledge of dance and human gesture. So you see how I had to tilt the legs in. So when I did this, I tilted using this axis inside. The leg was inside the T of the body. So one leg, one foot was behind the other, as if she's walking over a beam, which is actually pretty cool. To have that kind of X-Men suspended, come on, kind of like floating feeling, you know, like you have a power of flight or zero gravity. You can also let the legs fall a little bit, which also looks pretty cool. The lighting is dynamic in that it's hiding her face but revealing her bust, which helps push in that, you know, the feeling of the pinup kind of beauty, maximized beauty. And then for R is where you can make a scale change by pressing the combined X, Z, and Y, the little angle, the little white box that connects all those axes together. You can move the entire unit. So if you want her lower body to be a little bit bigger, you have to shrink the upper body as a whole, and that'll kind of push in her curvature, or exaggerate her curvature a little bit. So I'm just gonna actually just really go for it. And if you feel like the head is too small, you can also increase the size of the head to work for you. If you wanted something a little bit, just not, you know, childlike, I would say, but a little bit more towards cartoony. You could also do that. The light, I just pressed 1 to shift it around, and I really like the one where kind of we just don't see a lot of her face. So what I'm thinking is, in order to hide the joints, everybody asked me this, just press right click on the female mannequin name. Left click and hide joints. And then they'll still be there. That's why I'm messing with it now. I'm just going to increase the length of her neck, which also adds to that beauty. So very, very simple pose. The dynamic comes from the camera. So you could do something like that and then really increase the field of view so that when you zoom in, you know, you have this really cool kind of angle. She feels very strong, very powerful. And then I just bent her leg a little bit to kind of push out the legs so that at least one of them is catching the light. Another thing you could do to add personality is tilt the head. So she seems like she's thinking. Another thing is just to tilt the head back forward so she's looking down, but the light is still catching her face. I like the one where her head is tilted down, catching the light only on her cheekbones a little bit. All right, so the field of view is crazy because it'll give you like this really, really cool foreshortening, right? So you learn a lot as well. It's an educational tool, no doubt, PortraitStudio, because you're just stripping away all of the distractions that come with other references just to focus on what it is that makes a figure work. And you have these plates for each section of the figure. You also, like for here, when I work with references, the thing that really gets me, that used to really bother me, is enforcing the vision, or forcing the viewer to see the shoulder line. Sometimes the shoulder line and the breastplate all follow the same gesture line, that one single line. So that's something we could do. But I don't want this angle. This is too much. So I'm going to just kind of take it back to where it was before, because I'm still trying to work with what you did. I'm completely doing a completely different gesture. So this is not the critique hour where I'm improving on what the artist did. I'm mostly just changing everything they did, just because it's going to show you the benefit of trying varieties. It's not about honoring the students' choices at the moment. And then just to screen cap it, you could press on the little screenshot camera here or just capture it that way. But yeah, oh sorry, the angle of the camera, I forgot to change that. Because it's kind of like a league splash-ish, and I'm not sure what weapons she would be carrying on her or what kind of items or props. So I'm not gonna bother, you know, trying to work on that. So I've opened that up. I might drag that in and just Photoshop it in just to save some time, and then impose the student's design on top. But you can already see just by placing it on top how cool that looks, plus the eclipse behind her, which will be bringing her into a silhouette and tie everything together. So let's try it. So I'm going to try to lasso this character out. You know what? No, I'm going to just try to improve on the background, duplicating the layer, deleting that one, or turning that one off. Right now what I'm trying to do is just improve the light environment. So if anyone can describe what's a light environment and what is its use? What is it? Like, what is it? So I'm pushing that this way, and you don't want the brightest section of the painting, let me show you, to be in the literally the most boring part of the canvas. Like if I'm to place a dot where you put a red dot where you put the brightest area of the canvas, and then just show you where it is on the canvas. Who would put anything that important that far away in the least important area of the scene? So what you want to do is just plan a little, even a little bit of planning. And by planning, I don't mean, I don't know why you guys, when I say plan, you guys hear me like as if I said work 3 days just thinking about the painting. Is that what you guys think I'm saying when I say plan your paintings? Put your hand up if that's what you think I mean. Yes, I was using green shot to take the screen cap. Light environment is light object in room. Excellent. The relationship between the light source, its strength, its direction, magnitude, etc., bounced off the nearby environment in the room, which is, it can be anything, the sky, an actual room, all imposing on the character. The character is a symbol of what the relationship between the light and the environment is. It's not the source of all the light source. It's not less important, more important than deciding that light source first. Value range given to the light source, given the light sources. Yes. Defining light sources and their direction and temperature, how the light moves through and interacts with everything. Beautiful. The light source is color, intensity, and direction. It's the comedian Sugar Ants. Are you gonna do anything this time to make us laugh our asses off? So I'm just gonna boost the light here. Oh, is this the... Oh, right, yeah. I was working with this layer. And then I'm just gonna drag it down in this way. And just toss that there. I think that's better. And I'm gonna try to hurry it up just for this critique, just because it's might take us a while. I can't work like this. Image size. Ooh, 5,000. You barely have any detail. What do you need 5,000 for? Alright. Some people buy the best tools and they buy the newest tablets and they choose they get the best computers and they open the biggest 10,000 by 10,000 size canvas just to skip planning their paintings, just to skip you know, like the form studies are. No, I'm not saying you are, but you need to do some figure studies. You need to, you know, work on that a little bit before you start thinking about boosting or preparing your canvas for massive detail scale. Okay, so then I'm going to clean that up. Everything is related through context. Is that right? That's a good way to put it. Yes, the tool does not make the artist. Artists need to start remembering their scientists. I think somewhere down the line after World War II and the modernism, you know, the change in thinking and how you can't just say modernism. You have to say what it is about modernism, and that's like moving away from structural paintings and focusing more on like impressionist kind of memories of the subject versus, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like fine arts class, but at one point or another, artists stopped drawing well and stopped caring about drawing well, and cared more about the emotional investing of themselves in the painting, that they forgot that artists are scientists, and it's very sad that most of us have forgotten that artists are scientists. Write that back to me. So Da Vinci was a scientist. Michelangelo was too. How do you not look at a sculpture by Da Vinci or Bernini or a painting by a sculpture by Michelangelo, and not say like that is the work of science, you know? And so then I'm going to just lasso her out. And I'm going to show you like the reference does everything for you. The reference really does, you know, when you find the reference, you don't have to worry so much about this memory of a memory of a memory in your visual library of that subject, which is what this looks like. This looks like you know how to paint a cute face and you've done it before 100 times, but it came to the figure and you couldn't pull off anything meaningful to really marry the concept of a divine being living in a completely hostile planet. Like what goes into a being that looks like that. So that alone, just the change in this alone has helped moving the light behind her. but we are also going to cast her in the shadow because she is eclipsed. And then we'll bring in the reference itself and the figure from PortraitStudio and try to make this a little bit more League of Legends. Right, so I'm going to move that, and I might bring in the artist's other piece that I critiqued the other day, just so we have a background. And that would be cool to try to pull that off too, but that would have to be in perspective. So I'm trying to do this so that it's actually, you know what, that's exactly how I'm supposed to be doing it. Right, just something like that, just so we have more flesh in the background. And this is the other artists where I believe it is. I'm not 100% sure, but like the color palette is really similar. So it might be the other artist. Yeah, it is, I think. All right, I'm just gonna complete that rock. If it's not, who cares, because it's still gonna deliver the same message, which is how to fill in an illustration, how to finish it, etc. I'm also going to decrease the opacity of this stuff in the background, just for now, just until I have managed most of what's happening with the character. Might shift that down-ish a little bit. Oh, to bring that up. Okay, I don't like the shape of that rock. We might have to fix it, but it's okay for now. And it's really similar to what we did with this piece. We're fixing the silhouette, we're fixing the background value, and all of that. And then I'm going to shrink her finally. And then just try to figure, see, you really didn't, like, if I get rid of the arm, you really didn't have much going on. And I think that's a good silhouette there. And then remember what I did with the planet. I kind of made the planet disappear a little bit into the background, so it's going to help bring her out. And I think that's good. And then I'm going to bring in the PortraitStudio model, which might be a bit bigger. No, I'll just bring this one in. Which could be a bit, you know, better. We could have done like a different gesture, but I can't be there. Kind of sculpting this to death. Not that we're sculpting, because it's kind of sculpted for us. But I'm going to try to pull off what you did here, which will feel more like a complete painting because we have just matching the levels, bringing down the contrast, and then just placing it there on the side. So this means that the head needs to be shrunken or the body needs to be increased in size. I'm just literally just hacking at your piece until something makes sense. And then I'm going to try to do, you know, what you did with the hair, but the hair can catch some light and rim light, which will look cool. Oops, I'm on lighten. But not yet, because we want to just at least get the structure of some stuff down. I want to just take that, just cut that body out and do it, but I'm just trying to explore what else we could be doing with the head. So I might just do that just to save some time. So trying to get the head to be of the same size, which means that we don't really see enough of the body, so I'm going to shrink her head and her form just a bit more. We don't have to see the feet necessarily. We could always make her crouch a little bit. And then I'll match the colors. And then maybe redo the feet. I like how her head is tilting a little as well. You can always make her float that way too, just to break the straight look down. And then I do want to keep that strange texture you had for her body. Tilting the head, shrinking it, and then trying to apply that light from before. I think it's just starting to come together a little bit, looking more like a league splash, just because of the dynamic background, lighting, and gesture. And that's really it. It's not as much magic as you think it is. Just color matching. I'm going to just smudge out the body so it feels a little bit more rendered. And that's just blending. And I'm going to try to use that previous thing you had for the body, that kind of clothing fabric thing. I'm going to try to make that read as like some kind of cloak or something to break it. Oh my god, my table is not creaking. That's awesome. Alright, and then I'm gonna, just by comparing the values we're seeing here, I'm gonna try to move it that way. So I don't do enough of these kind of really nice, full, completed paintings in front of you, but just to show you what the benefit is of just spending a little bit more time planning. And I'm trying to boost the silhouette behind her just so we could understand kind of what's going on. Might do some spot delete. I liked where the value was before. I might just spot delete the rock behind her because I don't like it very much. It's kind of disrupting her. And then the shape of that, if you remember from the critique hour where I actually looked at the before of the environment, it just didn't feel like a structure that was lifting up or some kind of celestial body that was emerging from the earth. But that was my interpretation of the painting, which is fun to do, you know. I don't always have explanations from the students. Creek show. And then I'm gonna bring in that cloak thingy, then maybe just try to incorporate it somehow, just so we have something extra for when we bring in all that rim light. And I think what you were going for was some kind of water element thing as well. So just a touch of planning went a long way. just trying to show how like the wind is disrupting it and kind of throwing the clothing around. Might duplicate it and just use it on the body somewhere too. To catch some light. And then I'm going to merge all this, hopefully, without making too much of a mistake. Keep the layer locked and then just start incorporating in the light. This is kind of where most of the fun is. So you really spent a lot of time on the face. Maybe you graduated the 14-day challenge and you had this a little bit of strength to the portrait. But just because you know how to paint a face doesn't mean that you're going to zoom in so close and ignore the background and this big colossal thing that you just tried to pull off with the portrait, with the environment behind her. So it's very weird to have a portrait that's close up, so like a portrait with like a crazy background. It just looks ridiculous. It looks like that meme with the girl with the burning building and she's kind of turned around like all evil. It's a weird crop. It's a strange kind of crop to do. So make sure that you're just doing a little bit of research on, cinematically, what's the best angle to try to pull off her an alien environment and a character intro. The hair could use some help. That's one thing I'm trying to do, is just show you how, maybe some of the decisions by the artist where we could keep. I think she's got elf ears, of course. And a little bit of that environmental, that light just on the chest, kind of sneaking in. Now I'm using soft brush to break some of those core shadows with some value. So the original light I did, I would have to adjust it. I'd have to go back to PortraitStudio and like adjust the light to come in from like that kind of angle. Something like that. Which is a lot more useful because now I can see that I'm missing a core shadow right here. All right, and then I'm just pushing this further and further. And then just, it's not, try not to overdo the rim light because it'll just flatten your piece. I might give her a very simple weapon. Still haven't decided what the heck is happening with the hair. I don't want to give her Vegeta hair. But I do want a little bit more activity. Maybe she's got little hair loopies like that. And I'm just gonna get that gray color. Throw it behind. Go and delete your from the top there. So again, this isn't really about the before and after. It's like about, see, I drew the hair as if I'm sketching. I didn't draw the hair as if I'm painting. Like if I'm animating, I need a bold body of hair, but not if I'm rendering. So I need more strands that we would not do had we been animating. And then I'll merge that down. I kind of like the short hair, but I just want more variety. That was the point of today's class. Kind of feels like it's all gusting in one way, which is boring too. So the silhouette of the hair starts dark. I don't feel like dedicating to rendering this hair, but yes, please try something different with the hair. I liked where the hair was short because it looked a little bit more athletic. And I think I'm just going to shrink the Vegeta cut though. I do have to adjust it so it doesn't look Vegeta. Maybe just like a pixie cut, which is cooler. I'm not dedicating to rendering hair in class right now. I got like 15 minutes. Alright, so the rest I'll just do is rim light. Okay, so we have a long way to go with this piece. And you can see if you've made the reference on PortraitStudio and you're too scared of copying it down, just take your time and blend it out on the reference as well, so you remember that you don't have to render all of that plating on the reference. That it will be blended out, it will be incorporated into the skin and the clothing and all of that, so don't forget to do that. Sorry, I'm like having half sentences right now. Just trying to focus on this. Okay, and the hair felt floaty. Yeah, it's okay. I don't care. I can't do the hair right now. Alright, and then there's definitely rim light around the hair on this side. That should help redeem that shadow there. And then the clothing, I'll get back to it. Would definitely be catching some light, and not just catching light, it would be like drenched in light too. And a little bit more lit up as well. So let me see if I can try that without killing the fabric color. Maybe with dodge tool. Maybe if I duplicate it, merge it down, and then bring in. You see, I guess a lot. So there is no, so I like that one. There is no like specific way I do anything anyway. And then I'm going to use my color layer and darken layer as a whole just to get this. I'm going to use it on brush mode just to get the environment to match the object. So I'm going to be borrowing from this strange reddish value here. So one layer of darken, and I'm going to exaggerate it around here with a little bit of blue as well, and one layer of color, just a quick brush just to match her to the environment. There might be a little bit of light on her thigh gap, but I don't want it to be like an awkward glimmer of light only in one area, so if it doesn't work, I'll just undo it. Yes, she has a magical vagina now, so forget that. And then now that it's a little bit more opaque, I can start. What I can do is, alright, I'll duplicate, lock, overpaint the skirt a little with light, and then unlock, and then delete everything above. So try this, try it, try planning your references. It's amazing. It changes the way you paint, it changes the way you work. Right, and then now I have a little bit more light in her dress without having to do too much hand painting. I like erasing away detail at the painting instead of over painting, because over painting is a real thing, meaning that you will get to the point where everything you feel like has to be brushed by hand, which is absolutely not true and absolutely the way to waste your time. Always try to find the fastest, most efficient way to complete something, and erasing away at the painting I feel like is the best. for me, time saver, especially if you're doing commissions, especially if you're working with back and forth stuff where you're working on a book cover or something, and you still have to paint the option for them to pick. So you're losing time painting hours, right? You're using mileage hours that you could be charging for, which you can't because it's unreasonable to charge for every revision. Some people do, really. It just depends on how much, what type of customer kind of body you have. But you have to show them the options they have for them to pick from, and not knowing your way around Photoshop, you'll lose a lot of time. As for the portrait, I wouldn't worry so much about the portrait because it's no longer about the portrait, it's about the marriage of object with environment. And then that's why we, created a reference is so zoomed out. So if you are making new mistakes where your PortraitStudio reference is zoomed in all the way, this is not right. And so if you don't know how much to zoom in or don't understand framing, just YouTube basic cinematic framing. Start taking more time to look at just documentaries about film and what just watch movies and note down character intros. Like, I would say a good movie to watch would be just wherever you have science fiction character intro, like Riddick or Marvel, anything like that, like the Infinity Wars, all of that stuff, that whole series. I don't want to use pure white just yet. It is coming, but I don't want to use it. I just want to make it feel like we are looking at a really, really x-rayed kind of view of her silhouette in the background. And then what you could add is something really cool, which is a weapon. I'm going to try to just apply it here. Just a simple weapon she could have, maybe like a rod or something. That could also help. So most of the reference that we had picked out, we didn't honor every part of it. The head is still a little bit bigger, which is okay. I mean, I would shrink it a little bit more, just because you have that cutesy thing going on. Oopsie. The tilt is a little different. The body type is a little different. We could shave away at her shoulders just so they're a little bit less athletic. So you don't have to keep 100% of your reference. You want to keep most of it, but you could adjust your reference before you work on it, as well as adjust it after in your rendition and your sketch down. It's really up to you how you want to represent your character. Maybe she has no muscles, but she is a little bit athletic. Okay, so let me just patch that up because I cut her head off. Do have to really clean that up though. Demon Slayer. So yes, I have been watching Demon Slayer. Okay, I have. It's very nice. Maybe her head needs to be behind a little bit as well. So I don't know all the character names, I haven't memorized them, but the little vampire girl, not the vampire, the little demon girl with the bamboo muffle is adorable. And I love how the characters aren't over sexualized. So it's just, I like when a female character is wearing normal people clothes and not dressed in stupid stuff. But who knows, give it some time, it'll have fan service too. It will die a sad, lonely death, like all anime, like the death of One Piece. Okay, so I'm going to try to finish up a little bit more, but you get the idea. What working with a dynamic reference and a dynamic portrait could do for you. So now I'm going to try to kind of make that magic happen with the light. And what you could do is you could, there's no reason why you can't just kind of move the light to be a little bit behind her. That's also really cool. So I'm going to try that. It's going to create like a strange little eclipse, like the eclipse itself, that the crescent will look really, really nice behind her shoulder line. Just like that. And then I'm going to start framing the entire canvas, which is just for the sake of cutting off the lower half so it's not too strong. That's normal. And if you wanted to bring in some kind of dust motion, you could as well. Then there's the bloom of the light in front of her. So this is like if a pro was, you know, involved in the, like generating a different option for what you had rendered. This is how they would go about it. They would invest research into every part. I still hate the hair, but at least we can just make something happen right now. So any questions at all about these changes? And you could bring in, if you had to, I'm going to smudge away that belly button because it's just too much. It doesn't need to be that visible. You could, if you wanted to, bring in some extra light on her cheekbones, as long as you stay within reasonable silhouette. One thing that's really bothering me is the length, the shortness of her face. I feel like we could use a shorter or just a smaller set of eyes to make her look a bit more mature. And then the hairline was a bit close. And then you could always make glowy eyes. Those are always the best. And you could, you know, do whatever color you wanted to for that. You could stay kind of neighboring colors, or you could go for something a little bit more cool, you know, maybe a red or a yellow. It just depends on how you write your character. Don't make it too much, you know, stay classy. So imagine you had more than an hour to do this. Imagine you had a couple days, maybe a week. Imagine it was a challenge in the community. Imagine it was you have PortraitStudio and you have the world at your fingertips, and you weren't restricted to a 45-minute speed photo bash. You had more time to look at cool costumes from different cultures. You had time to write a story or a narrative around it. You had time to design a weapon. Oh, mama, imagine how much you could do with a little bit more time. If only you guys had that time. Oh, you do? It's a pandemic. What? You have a lot of time? So now you have no excuse. So get that ass into gear. Hit it into gear. Is that how you say it? Is that how you say it, you Americans? And start looking at better ways to pull off the idea in your head. I'm just trying to like show you how far we could push the light. We could also slightly dim the light behind her while keeping while keeping the light on her a little bit strong. So it'll be a little forced. It's a bit forced, but the pure white comes through of her shoulder line, which is up to you. It's gonna look a little bit like Frank Miller. It's starting to look a little bit like 300 because of just the monochromatic touch. But if you want to keep it bright, you can also do that. Remember what we did last time, though. We did bring in, like, I don't like the whites of the eyes. We did bring in the blue in the environment. Another thing you could do is just, I don't know if that's good, but just bring in a front value here for foreground objects, which of course must be shrunken. So if you bring in some stuff in the foreground, I'm pretty much just reusing the same asset here, but that also might help complete the scene, make it look a little bit more like a cluster of alien landscape. Okay, the rod is kind of ending off at a weird point, so you might want to make it look more like a weapon or something like that. I don't know, it could be a sword. Who knows what they're designing for the next champion, honestly, I don't know. Could be like a Soraka splash or something. A ring is actually really fucking cool, so let's just do that. I need to do after hours, and I need to sketch. I haven't sketched in a while. I miss that a lot. Come on. Alright, any questions at all before I get out of here? Maybe some light is on the... Remove the thing. I don't know what the rotation is. After hours confirmed. And then you could do like a little gust of brightness just washing in behind her. Kind of like an anime intro, heroic, Marvel drop down, just, you know, like some kind of magical, bombastic glow that just happened behind the character. And you see how minimal and useless the portrait is at this point. It's about this. It's about the thumbnail read. There's so many other cool things we could do. Don't do any lens flares. There's a lot you could do that's not has nothing to do with the lens flares. Just stay away from the lens flare. But yeah, there's a lot more you could do to kind of push this. I'd say start with a color palette just so that it's not monochromatic. All right, so any questions? She on a journey to pick up some garbage. Okay, is that a garbage hook? Is that, oh, is that what they used to pick up? No, is it? Is it? I don't know. It's like a staff. You could make it like ridiculously bigger. You can make it like obnoxiously big. It would still look really cool. Oops. Or like make it like a half moon. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I like the ring one because I don't know if I'm not mistaken. You know, in Inuyasha, his brother, his servant, his little henchman, Kraken, Gakken, whatever his name is, had a ring staff, but I don't know. I always was obsessed with that cool shit. I wouldn't block with a smudge brush. What? Who's trying to block with a smudge brush? No! Can't. Or maybe that. That's pretty cool. Kind of like an electric fork. Or yeah, that could be something cool. You could just have some electricity. I don't know. I'm gonna flatten the whole image. I guess we're keeping, no, we'll keep the ring. Flatten the whole image. The ring is bad because it's creating a little frame, but it's okay. And then I'm gonna lock, just bring down the levels a little bit and just do some last minute edits, just like that. So that's just contrast boost. It's nothing major. It's nothing super significant. And then let's look at other color. Ooh, this color is pretty. I'm a sucker for color, so I'll be here all day. Kind of looking at the options. That's a cool color for the sky behind her only, and then we start shifting into pinks and then back into blues for the shadow of the foreground. This is where it was before. I really like this color, but I just want to stay close to what the artist had. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. I hope this demo was fun for you. To submit your stuff for Critique Hour and join us here on the live stream, go on Istebrak.com and press on the little Reddit icon here. Click on it. It'll take you to our Reddit. Please join the Reddit. Look out for the announcements on the Reddit. PortraitStudio is no longer on sale. The price went back up. So if you want to buy PortraitStudio, it's available on the store. That and the sale for the price for all of my brushes also went up. So it went back to slightly more than sale price, but definitely not the complete sale price, just because it has to go back up to something a little bit more reasonable. It has been on sale since November, was on sale since November. And then, where did I close that? And then look at the other challenge, the other announcement here at the top pinned. Please go to that, read through it. It's the community challenge. What other announcements? The due date has been posted for the 16th of February at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And that's it. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. I need lots of rest this weekend. I'm going to try to get it. I'm so happy the table is fixed. No more creaking. No more driving me crazy. I'll see you guys on Tuesday the 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern time, hopefully, if I'm feeling better. Thank you everyone for coming, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I'm joking. You don't have to. But please do. And I'll see you guys then. Okay, bye.